I recently won an old pistol at an auction. It's a Colt Model 1903 Hammerless, chambered for 32 ACP. It was listed as being in poor external condition, but functional. And I think the poor condition is definitely true. Later on, we'll see if it fires. But until then, let's get a closer look at the pistol. There's quite a few spots of deep pitting, though it looks like any active rust is long gone, and new finish has been added on top. There's only one spot of fresh rust that I can find right above the trigger. It looks newer, since there's no pitting underneath. Above that is the model and caliber. The engraving is very crisp, though on the other side, the markings are completely gone. Below, the serial number is only partially readable. Is it 4,000, 40,000, or 400,000? More on this in a bit. One last thing to note is that the grip is chipped. But with how bad the external condition is, the pistol seems functional. The safety lever works. I can rack the slide, though it feels like it needs oil. And I can dry fire. Let's try that again. The slide is harder to rack when it's decocked. Then I can dry fire it again. Actually, it seems like the trigger isn't resetting, so that's one concern. I'll remove the magazine in order to take a look inside. And I think that's the issue. The trigger bar looks like it would rub on the magazine. Now with the trigger free to reset, it can be dry fired. Now with the magazine back in. Actually, it reset this time. I'll try again. And this time it didn't reset. So maybe it's not fully functional like advertised, but I should be able to fix that. My other concern as of now is the condition of the crown, which seems pretty beat up, and there is some rust inside of the barrel, both of which could affect accuracy. But I'll have to wait and see if those are truly issues. Next, what I'll do is field strip and inspect the pistol. As I do, I'm looking for any additional issues with this. Luckily, field stripping a 1903 is pretty easy. The first thing I'm noticing is that everything is very dry. It needs oil on all of the surfaces. And this is what's known as a Type 3. There's an integrated barrel bushing rather than a separate one, like on the 1911. But the rails that the slide moves on look to be in good condition, a big difference from the outside of the pistol. I don't see any pitting or corrosion here at all. At the rear of the slide, there's the full serial number stamped. 404,000 puts us as being made in 1922. While it's apart, I'll take a look at the barrel. Looks like my luck has run out. This bore is pretty corroded, though I can see rifling. I'll move on to something I can fix. I'll remove the grips to get a closer look at the trigger. With the grips off, I can see the part of the trigger that goes around the magazine. The top here looks straight, but the other side doesn't look so good. I can see that it's definitely bent down, and that spot corresponds to this line of finish loss on the magazine. They've definitely been interfering with one another. In order to fix the trigger, I need to get it out. I'll have to completely disassemble the frame. Almost all of the parts needed to be removed to access the trigger. Here's a better look at how it's misshapen. To fix things like this, I try and think of the least invasive methods first. Here I'm attempting to straighten out the trigger with these smooth-faced pliers. Due to the complex shape, I can't get in there enough to squeeze with the whole jaw, but this could have straightened it out just enough. I'll test fit it around the magazine. It feels better, but there's still some drag and binding back and forth. As a second attempt, I have this scrap piece of wood, which is the same thickness as the magazine, maybe a few thousandths thicker. I'll shave down one end to give it a slight taper. Then I can use it as a wedge to expand the trigger bars. Like I said, it's only a few thousandths thicker than the magazine. No more, since it could easily spread them apart too far, to the point where they bind inside the frame. They look to be a bit straighter than before. I'll force the wood through one more time. Then I'll test it again. It's a little tight at the feed lips, but with it down near where it should be, they're both able to move freely with no binding or rubbing. I added some oil to the trigger bars, then I can insert it back into the frame. Then I can test to make sure it's not binding. It's moving freely, with no resistance. Just one more test to absolutely confirm the fix is going to work. With the magazine in the frame, the trigger is free to move back and forth just as much as before. Then I can add the rest of the parts. I'll do a function test to make sure I reassembled everything correctly. I'll ease the hammer forward, and that seems to be working. Moving on, I'll reattach the grips. Since the parts felt dry earlier, I'll give the slide rails a healthy dose of oil. Then add the barrel. There's a sweet spot for it to be able to rotate into position. I'll add the recoil spring, then the slide onto the frame. The barrel rotated a bit out of position here. And now with the slide back all the way, I need to find that sweet spot again for the barrel to be able to rotate and lock into the frame. I'll add the magazine. And that's the pistol completely reassembled. Now to test the function one final time. The safety works, and it looks like the trigger reset. I'll try it once more. Here's the completed Colt Model 1903 Hammerless. Though it's ugly on the outside, it seems to be fully functional now. The only thing left to do is to shoot it.
Use it for deer hunting. Yeah, I can't mess with this one. No, it's just, you know, it's just... Probably from the 60s? It was a 360. Yeah. It always fires. You keep your brass or not? No? I'm not old enough. Because you lose it in the sight.
Despite its ugly appearance, the pistol functioned flawlessly. Actually, I can't say it was flawless, since there was one misfeed. But I think the aluminum case 32 was more to blame, since my normally reliable Savage 1907 also had some misfeeds with that same ammo. I put around 80 rounds of brass 32 ACP through the Colt without a single problem. The accuracy seemed fine, and the barrel actually looks a bit better now with some rounds through it. There you have it. It takes a lot more than this to kill a pistol designed by John Browning. Thanks for watching.